Wrestling friends, to another edition of Smarknado. I'm your host, Eric Druckman. With me, as always, the dirty Danaconda, Dan Sesnit. Dan, how are you doing?
Good, man. I'm on my day two of two in a row off, so had a nice day putting up Christmas decorations yesterday and watched wrestling this morning. So
Yeah,
yeah,
there you go, man. Can't just so happy to not be working right now. Last couple of days at my shoot job, I've been kind of frustrating. There is a lawsuit that's going on that is going to halt my work for a significant amount of time, and I'm not really happy about it because you have to deal with the backlash of people that rely on you. But I digress. We're here to talk about our escape from reality, the best escape from reality. That's professional wrestling. So let's first. I want to just talk just AEW first. We can just kind of do this free form of stuff we're enjoying, stuff that could be a lot better. I think kind of right out of the gate, though, what I really do want to address is, this being the 13th of December, probably the biggest news story out right now is Brian Alvarez's report on that everybody backstage said that Tony tried to convince Tony not to have Tony Storm's return be on Rampage, but he went ahead and he did it anyway. This also follows up from Tony Khan booking, and this is something that I felt very strongly about, as Dan knows. He booked Kyle Fletcher to beat Okada, which honestly, that booking in itself is like cool. He has been on a run. I think that, Kyle's worthy of that. However, a victory of that magnitude really deserves a better showing. It doesn't need to be in the middle of the B show for something like that to happen. And Okada, again, is somebody that was one of the hottest free agent at the time. And there truly was like a bidding war for him. He is somebody that is just once in a generation type talent. And you need to give him, if somebody is going to beat him, especially someone like Fletcher, who's so young and up and coming, give it more of a important presentation, and that goes along with what happened with Tony as well. Tony Storm making her return. You're putting it on Rampage, which, as we all know, is going to sunset in the next few weeks. There's not going to be a Rampage anymore. Therefore, seemingly there doesn't seem to be really any incentive to put a return of that level on a show that isn't going to exist in the next few weeks. It's just it's perplexing decisions, and and just about all of our friend group knows that AEW can be incredible. There is just somebody that is kind of fucking everything up, and I think it's becoming more and more obvious that Tony Khan is a big problem, and the best thing that he can do is just kind of delegate a lot of these decision-making, these decisions to someone who does it better. Because, one of the main points that Tony always emphasized too is that he was always listening to the fans, and he's taking fans' opinions into account when he makes his decisions. Among the last two decisions that I went over, I don't really know who he would be listening to for that. And I have a hard time believing that like somebody else like strongly agreed with those decisions. Dan, what do you think? Just like everything that's going on right now.
I think there's still a lot to enjoy on the show.
Yeah, there is a lot to enjoy, but don't you agree that some of the decisions Tony makes is detrimental to the show, and it can be a lot better if he wasn't there making some of the nonsensical decisions that he makes.
I mean, the problem is he's gonna be there. It wouldn't exist without him, and he's given us a lot of good stuff. And it's in a down period right now. Albeit I don't think it's their worst down period that they've gone through. Personally, because I enjoy the Continental Classic. I enjoy this Death Riders stuff. I think it could use some tweaks. And as you always know, the AEW in-ring product is never going to suffer, right? Like it's always going to overperform.
And I think that's something that he hangs his hat on every single week, and which is
Maybe.
like, okay, yeah, it's going to be a good in-ring product, but when you're not putting good stories together consistently, it really does harm more than help, obviously. And it's just like we know how good AEW can be if they have like if AEW had WWE's writing right now.
Here's the thing.
I don't think I would ever watch any other promotion.
Here's the thing. It's not perfect right now, and there's some things that I would like to see change. But if we're gonna say, evoke WWE, let's just put it this way: like 2019, 2018 WWE was some of the worst shit that's ever existed. Yeah. So let's just say it's a bad run, and let's hope for it to get better. I'm not going to just cut it off because of.
Oh, I'm not cutting it off.
Albeit, but some people in our friend group, I'm not going to say names, have and are being, a little extra about it, if I may say. But no, not really. Like I kid. But at the end of the day, I still enjoy a lot of what they're doing, and I'm not going to let two bad decisions, albeit pretty fucking stupid ones, ruin the other stuff that I do enjoy. There's television shows that I love that have had bad episodes. It just happens.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, there are other things consistently every week that bring the show down. I mean, namely the Adam Cole MJF stuff. I think that is just like that feels so forced.
And I think that's coming to it. I think that's coming to an end come World's End. I hope. That's my prediction. If I could have one for it.
Yeah. And I guess something else that really just bothers me on the show is I've come to a point with Darby Allin where I am just so fucking over him. And I can't really hide it anymore. I feel like he is just such a stupid white trash kid that's just going to do whatever it takes to try to get people to like him. And like people already liked him at this point, but like he's someone that doesn't know when enough is enough.
I think you're in the minority of the AEW fandom that don't like him. I'm not saying that I do. I see your point, but I still think he's over.
I think I think he's over, but my feelings also might be amplified by just like how stupid I think the positioning of him versus the Death Riders have been, for the fact that like he's just a whipping boy. He just gets his ass kicked all the time. He just keeps coming back, but like he never gets like one up on the group either at the same time. And it's just like, it's just pathetic. It feels pathetic the way that like he comes at the Death Riders and stuff and just continues to get his ass kicked. And I have a hard time like getting sympathy for him. It comes off more as like stupid than courageous.
How so though? I'm not
because he's just constantly putting his body on the line and like thinking that it's a little bit different than OC to me.
It's a lot different than OC. I'll give you that. That's obvious.
Like I know I'm not an idiot. I know that OC came out and just like basically took his lickings from the whole crew.
I just think it shows the power of the Death Riders, which it's supposed to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, the way that Darby bumps is something that you could take exception to, but I don't think it's the worst writing per se.
Yeah.
Like his bumping around, yeah. I mean, it's tired. The shtick is a little bit tired. It's not something that I'm necessarily a huge fan of. But again, I think that you and I are in the minority when it comes to AEW fans and what their opinion of Darby is. I think people still really like it.
And well, I guess he's over. He is.
You're allowed to not. I'm not telling you to like it by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not even defending it. I'm just saying that.
I guess it kind of and it also goes back to that story I heard about him and what's her name, Gigi Dolan from NXT when they were dating in the hot sauce. I'm not going to elaborate on that. If you guys want to Google it, go ahead.
Yeah,
but it just kind of opened up to like, wow, Darby's a fucking loser.
He's not a particularly likable human being. Like I'm not. I'm over him too.
Is like he comes off like such a dick, like in his promos and arrogant and stuff like that. And like
he'd make a better heel.
I'm supposed to like.
Maybe he should join the Death Riders.
I don't know, but like, and then I saw him wrestle on Collision. He faced Commander. Commander's talented as hell. And Darby is, for that matter, too. But like, some of the unnecessary bumps that he takes in not that important matches is a bit startling.
Like, but that's the same thing. That's the same thing we praised Mick Foley for.
But Foley wasn't doing. He wasn't doing a like swan dive to the outside directly onto a seated chair.
No, he was doing back bumps onto concrete.
Yeah, that's still a lot more tame than what Darby is doing.
But
it is a lot more.
A chair breaking your fall is a lot different than flat back bumps on concrete, man.
I don't think you understand. Did you see that spot of how it happened?
I did.
I think that hurts more.
I mean, I'm not saying it was smart. I'm not. I'm just saying, like, I think it's a little bit of a double standard when we talk about a lot of the dumb things that other wrestlers do. And Darby is just magnified in some ways.
Yeah, it's just like...
I'm over him too, man. I am
over him. It's
fine. I'm glad that he's not going to be the next, maybe he might be the next one-on-one title contender, but at least that we're getting a fatal four-way at World's End. I'm actually quite looking forward to it.
I'm glad that he's not in that fatal four-way.
It wouldn't have made sense for him to be in it. This fatal four-way actually tracks all the way across the board. Everybody's got beef with everybody, and if they for some reason shoehorn Darby in, it just, I don't know, it wouldn't really make sense.
It would be too messy. Yeah,
too messy.
Yeah, I will say that the way that they have built to this main event, and I was a very harsh critic of how the last pay-per-view's main event ending happened, but over the last few weeks they kind of did make it all come together with Hangman and Jay White and Mox and Orange Cassidy.
I mean, I think that this past Dynamite really tied it all together really nicely with that that tag team match.
Definitely. Yeah. And do you think that there's a chance that Mox might lose the title in this four-way?
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. There's not going to be any rules. There's going to be a lot of fuckery, a lot of
doesn't feel like it's a strong enough challenger yet.
A lot of ballyhoo. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know who the next guy. I think Moxley kind of hangs on to it for a while.
I think it's eventually going to be Ospreay.
You think so?
Yeah. They've worked with each other before, and Ospreay, I think it's going to be one of those situations where Ospreay beats Moxley for the title, and Fletcher's looking there like, what the fuck? Kind of in the same way that like Brett and Owen beat Brett at WrestleMania 10, and then Brett wins against Yokozuna in the main event later that night. So you could have like a world title feud with Ospreay and Fletcher. But then again, like, I don't really know how long this Death Riders thing is going to go on for. And I think you think it's probably going to go on beyond Moxley holding the championship, right?
I think so. I think the title is such a. I mean, they prove it every week by putting the title in the briefcase.
Yeah.
I don't think the title is what Moxley really cares about in the big picture of things. I don't think he still has really kind of said exactly what he cares about, but you know,
Yeah,
Moxley loves
is
to be
there
cryptic.
doesn't it feel like with this Death Riders thing, we don't have as clear of a picture of their motives as we should by now?
Yes, it does feel that way. At least we're not talking about is it Shane McMahon, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm glad that ship has sailed.
I think one thing that just like bothers me about it too is they keep going back to like trying to fucking poison the wrestlers they attack by like, they were trying to put the funnel of the cleaning solution into Orange Cassidy on Collision this past week. And it's just like, are they? If they're actually trying to murder people, just say it in your promos. Like that's part of it. That's
I actually wish they would too.
What's going on here? What were you saying?
I completely agree. I wish that they would just come out and be like, yes, we are here trying to murder people. We are the Riders of Death. Let's come out and say it.
Yeah, it's another example of something that could be so much better. Like, it's not bad, but there's more to be desired and more storytelling that they could do with it. I think sometimes
you finally got a lot of major names coming at Death Riders. You know what I mean? Though that's kind of what we want.
Yeah, I'm happy that FTR has kind of joined that mix.
Yeah.
And then we also, have the three guys that are in the main event there. Yeah. I think what we've been missing, and we've been saying this for the past couple of months, I believe, is like a real big time ass kicker baby face to come at the Death Riders. And I would love to see Samoa Joe come back sometime soon and just be a force for the baby faces.
In a perfect world, Samoa Joe would be the guy, but who does AEW have on their roster right now that could replace him? Who would you say if you had to? You know what I mean? A Hobbs, maybe?
No, because Hobbs he doesn't have that established credibility. And I don't think anyone could really replace Joe because no one is quite like Joe. I mean, yeah, physically, is he imposing in the same way that Joe is? Sure. Yeah. But I don't think, Powerhouse Hobbs has not left behind the trail of bodies that Samoa Joe has.
Yeah, I mean, Joe has a legendary career.
Doesn't give me the same feeling. And Hobbs might get there someday. If they do right by him, I think they can certainly attain, reach that. Yeah. But no one is quite on Joe's level in terms of who he has gone through, how long he's been doing it, how dominant he has been for so long. We look at a year ago, who was carrying the banner of AEW when MJF unexpectedly got injured? It was Samoa Joe.
What about Kenny Omega?
I would love to see Kenny Omega back. Don't get me wrong. Oddly, I feel that he still wants to save his debut for the Tokyo Dome.
I think he's already returned. He's got a return date set. I can't remember. It's somewhere in Japan.
January 4th, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's against Gabe Kidd at Wrestle Kingdom.
Oh, is that what it ultimately is? I knew that there was something. I didn't know if it was Wrestle Kingdom that it was set up for. But
yep. He's going to be
an interesting choice for a return match.
Well, I think what I think Kenny needs to do? He needs to come back as the cleaner. He needs to come back Japan, with a new edge, to him. Edge. Fuck. I took the words out of my mouth. I don't know what Copeland's recovery is going to be like, but I think he is
Neither.
going to be an awesome part of the baby faces going up against the Death Riders, don't you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, who's a bigger name, really? I mean, you lose Danielson, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Joe and Edge are kind of the two like really rally the troops kind of guys that could come back, even though they're not AEW originals. They
Yeah,
definitely,
but they're the old strong vets.
yeah, they definitely carry the flag.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. We'll have to see how that all plays out. Other things I just want to touch on from AEW. I mean, the Continental Classic matches have been great.
every single one has been
Maybe
fire.
just like the structure of where they're booked on the card can be heavily criticized, but the matches in themselves cannot be. They've been all generally very, very good. And
Everyone holds up. And I think that there was one point where I was a proponent for more people in it, but I actually think this is the right number because you do any more than this, you just crowd the cards.
yeah,
So,
and
and you end
I
up
think
shortening matches.
it's the perfect amount of matches to cover the end of November to the end of December.
Mhm.
You know,
I
for
like that. I like
obviously.
that the winner has to wrestle twice in one night at World's End.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I think that's good for the fans or people that are going to purchase it if you ultimately do, right? I think
Yeah.
it's nice for the fans, but um I've enjoyed this tournament totally. So where we're at right now in the standings, what do you think is going to be the expected outcome?
I don't have the bracket in front of me. Um,
I know Kyle Fletcher has 9 points.
mhm.
Um
I think that despite Kyle Fletcher having 9 points, I still think that Okada ekes it out in that bracket.
you think so?
Yeah,
What makes you think that? I'm surprised.
because he's Okada, man. He's the best tournament wrestler that's in this tournament, and I think he goes through everybody else that he faces. I think he wins out.
All right. I don't.
And you know what? I think Fletcher, for who he has gone over so far, um, if he doesn't have another victory the rest of the tournament, I still think it's a respectable showing.
Yeah, I think he just has to. Well, he has to wrestle Shelton Benjamin still.
No, he already
Um,
wrestled Shelton Benjamin.
he
Fletcher?
did. No,
Yeah,
Okada does.
Okada does. Yeah,
Yeah.
Okada's gonna beat Shelton Benjamin. I mean, how many points does Okada have?
Right now, 7.
7? Yeah,
Yeah.
he can win it out for sure.
Yeah.
I see most of the time, and I mean this is Okada again. Like he's somebody that's won the G1, he's won the New Japan Cup several times. I think that generally when you're looking at the Continental Classic every single year, I think the guy that's coming into the tournament as Continental Champion, I think is more likely going to be in the final.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Who comes out of the Gold League though? Osprey has 6. Claudio's got 6. Ricochet has 6.
it's Osprey. I think it's going to be. I think the final is going to be Osprey versus Okada.
That's gonna be so good.
It's going to be so good, man. Yeah, and like, yeah, and I think I could see Osprey. I could see it going either way. Honestly.
Not to stretch out AEW talk, we'll move on in a little bit, but this whole tournament has made me miss Eddie Kingston that much more.
Oh, I know. Yeah, me too.
I just can't wait for Eddie to come back. I know that,
He's not going to be back until like early summer next year.
yeah, I know.
Sucks. But you know what? That might be in time for Forbidden Door.
It just feels like that's the boost that the company would, the shot in the
He's
arm
so
that they would
good
need
against
right
the
now.
Death Riders right now. The
You know,
promos,
you want to talk about a baby face that could fire them up that's believable? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And the history with Mox that's built in. I
Yeah.
think that, it's an unfortunate injury and unfortunate timing, but you know, c'est la vie.
Absolutely. All right, sir. Let's move on to Stamford, Connecticut, the home of World Wrestling Entertainment. Now, it does seem much like college football, WWE has enacted a transfer portal between the two brands for Raw and SmackDown. So, Dan, I'll start off with this. Who do you want to see transferred into where for main roster people?
For main roster,
Yeah.
who do I? I'd have to pull up all the rosters. Give me 1 second. I can tell you, I thought about NXT a little bit, and my first person that came to mind as far as somebody that should be on the main roster was Obafemi. That was somebody that I was like, man, who's main roster ready?
Oba also has that title match coming up too.
Yeah.
With Trick.
Yeah.
And don't know who it is. I don't know if it's been spoiled at all. Hopefully not, because I want to be surprised. Mello is facing a newest member of the SmackDown roster tonight, and we don't know who that is. So,
oh, really?
Yep.
Well,
There's rumors online of it being Pentagon, but I don't believe that. But we'll see.
If it's Pentagon, then I kind of feel like I have to watch, right?
Yeah.
I don't know enough about the rosters to say, hey, somebody should transfer, but I feel like the first person that comes to mind is going to be a champion, right? Like somebody's going to change rosters. So I'll say that the first person that enters the transfer portal is Braun Breaker.
Okay, I like that. And the possibility of maybe Shinsuke going over to Raw.
Yeah, something to that effect, right? Mm-hmm. Or, I would rather just see more trades between these companies or between the shows than call it a transfer portal, because, calling it that is, I'm not going to say a money grab, but it's a grab at, somebody else's popularity.
You know what? I'm kind of for it. And
I just think it's going to be muddy.
I respectfully disagree with you on trades, because I think that it gives a perception of someone being devalued or not having the right perceived value, Like, I remember when a trade happens in WWE, and they actually did this, and it was like Triple H for Booker T and the Dudley Boys. And it was just kind of like, wow, you think so little of Booker T and the Dudley Boys that all three of those guys together are equal to one Triple H. Like that just kind of stands out to me.
Builds heat.
What was that?
Builds heat.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't love the idea. I'm okay with the idea for trades if they're 1-for-1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That was the way my brain was thinking.
Oh, okay.
Or tag team for tag team. But the transfer portal, like, I don't think we still have any like real like rules on what it's going to be. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that they're going to use that to their advantage and muddy the waters a little bit.
And I think so. Well, yeah. It's gonna be corny. There's gonna be some like roundabout reasons why people are in the places they're at, but I think all in the end, they're making these moves strategically because they know that a given talent will work better with this set of talent on their show.
Have you thought about the idea of ending the brand split? Like, wouldn't you? I think I'd rather see something to that effect, to be completely honest.
I don't really want to see that, because I think that's going to create less opportunities for the many, many, many talents that they have. I think it's going to be a little bit harder for them to keep up on storylines. And that's just my feeling on it. I do want to give you, Dan, if you don't mind, who I think is going to be transferred.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. First of all, I have the Terror Twins, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley heading over to SmackDown. I think that this is a necessary thing to do, especially because these two have been so, involved with Judgment Day for so long that they kind of need a new scenery,
I completely agree.
Yeah, yeah, and put Damian Priest in there, have him fight Solo in the new Bloodline. Like I think he'd be a great, equal to them. So yeah,
That'll
I
do
would love to.
anything. I mean, I think Damian Priest has proved his worth. Really, I don't think he was ever a guy that we thought would be in the position that he's in right now. I think we always kind of thought his ceiling was mid card, and I think we can both be honest about that. And he's exceeded our expectations.
And if they are gonna go with Nia Jax for a little bit on SmackDown, like put Rhea Ripley over there, and that's an ass kicker that can just like beat up Nia Jax, because as of right now, like Nia's just kind of like squashing everyone on that brand. Get someone that's physically imposing to go against her, and I think it's going to be good shit.
Yeah, get her away from Liv. End that era, right? I think it's time for the Judgment Day to sort of go their separate ways, and I think that that's a good way to do it too. Is somebody from the Judgment Day enters the transfer portal and goes on and does their thing, but I don't know. Do you think that this is going to be? Go ahead. Before I'll let you.
Yeah, I have some new ones, and you can just kind of you can comment on them as they go along. Carmelo Hayes to Raw.
Okay.
I have Melo going to Raw because I think it would be good for him to renew his rivalry with Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
And I have Naomi going to Raw as well. Just another fresh face on Raw that can compete against Liv Morgan for the women's title. Ilya Dragunov to SmackDown. I think he'd go great with that roster that's over there right now.
You don't want to see Ilya Dragunov ultimately go up against Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship.
I do, but like, is Ilya has to be injured, right?
I believe so.
I should know this.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I don't know what the level of injury is, but I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah. Yeah. He just hasn't been around at all. And then finally I have LA Knight to Raw. And I have that because I feel like, this feud with Shinsuke, while it's great and everything, I think Shinsuke kind of needs to have a long run as champion, as this new heel character. And in the meantime, LA Knight has already kind of had his fun with the Bloodline. It's time for him to go over to Raw. Maybe, have him be someone that beats up Judgment Day, maybe goes up against Gunther.
I was going to say a Gunther LA Knight feud would be a nice short-term World Heavyweight title feud.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, man. Cool. So yeah, those are just my picks.
Where you don't have any NXT?
I do have NXT, and I know that you have some NXT, right?
No, not really. My Obafemi was the major one to me, but go ahead.
All right. So this one is evil.
No.
of what I have as my first call up, but I think it will be absolutely money. Ridge Holland to Raw aligns with New Day as their muscle.
Oh,
Can
Jesus.
you imagine the heat?
Nuclear.
Yeah, bro.
Nuclear.
Bro, they should do it. And like they don't even need Ridge to like say anything. He can just be there with them, He's just to stand there and people would lose their minds.
Yeah, they would probably throw shit in the ring.
I mean, I think it depends on where they are. But
it would look like Bash at the Beach.
Dude, why not? Like, try it. Try it.
Sure.
If it ends up in a riot, okay, drop it next week.
Like, I love that booking. I absolutely adore it. I think
you just fear for people's safety.
I think it's the ultimate heel heat, but
Yeah,
I think the only way you can do that is if you know E is coming back.
true.
Like, I think that that's the only way. Like, to me, in good conscience, pull off that angle. Exploiting an injury is if you know he's coming back from that injury.
Most
But
definitely.
it's a great, but it's a great thought.
Yeah, yeah. I just, man, just like watching them on Monday come to the ring and they couldn't even get a word in
It
because
was
the fans
beautiful.
were booing so much. Man, it was just like, wow. I'm just like, I've seated myself. I've strapped into this new era of New Day, injected in my veins. I am looking forward to seeing just how far they can go. I want to see if either, and you know what? I think I greatly underestimated the potential of this when I said that like they'll have a long run as tag team champions. Like I think it gets even higher, man. I think that one of them is going to become champion
You think
coming out
so?
of this. Yeah, I do.
I would love to see a Kofi Cody feud.
Kofi and Cody would be awesome. I mean,
Yeah,
Xavier and Cody already have their history from when they were kids and they used to wrestle AAU with each other.
I mean, they planted seeds for it
Mm-hmm.
already. This past this past Raw,
Mm-hmm.
was it? Maybe this
And
last SmackDown.
even this too, like it's John Cena's last year in WWE. What I assume to be the you know WrestleMania match for him, at least I think he's probably going to face Gunther,
Yeah,
and
me too.
he might win the championship. And
I
if
think
he
he
does,
does.
and if he does win the championship, this, if they end up doing like Kofi versus John Cena, and that's the person that John Cena loses the belt to, I think that's fucking amazing because we haven't seen the full extent of Kofi Kingston as a heel. I actually was looking last week. Do you remember when New Day initially debuted? They did go on a little heel run for a few months,
A short one, I recall.
but they were feuding with
I
John Cena. They
recall.
were like attacking John Cena
Oh, were
and
they?
shit like that. And like watching that again, I was just like, damn. Like
Yeah.
imagine a heel Kofi going against John Cena in his last year and him being the one to like take John Cena's last championship. I think that'd be huge.
I mean, it writes itself, right? I mean, I think that him taking it off Cody ultimately is
Mm-hmm.
big too. Even if it's as soon as
Depends on who's on what brand too.
it really depends on because Cody this Cody KO feud is really good, but I don't think KO takes the title off Cody.
Mm-hmm.
So you go the direction of Kofi taking it off Cody at Royal Rumble, Cena winning Royal Rumble, taking it off Kofi at Mania. You know what I mean?
You could.
Maybe.
I mean,
Just a
definitely,
thought.
New Day is going to have to move over to SmackDown for that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things can happen. These are all hypothetical, but again, we don't know with the transfer portal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
we don't know how it's going to go down. We don't know how people are going to move and shake. So,
right.
it's an intriguing thought.
So I do have a few more too for NXT. I
Sure.
have Roxanne Perez to Raw. I think it's the rightful
Yep.
time that I got Julia winning the NXT championship on her next go around against Roxanne when that happens.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it's time for Roxanne to just kind of go out on her own. And she's proven that she can be an effective heel or babyface.
And
So,
yeah, and you could even take what's her face that she's palling around with up with you too,
mm-hmm,
to not necessarily as a heater, but as a lackey.
definitely. And then I have Ethan Page to SmackDown.
Bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems like a no-brainer to me too. He's one of those ones that I thought should have started on the main
And
roster
I
in my
have an even
opinion.
stronger feeling of Ethan Page moving on to the main roster too, because the last couple of weeks in NXT, he's been like on this storyline of like losing confidence and losing himself, doesn't know what's next.
Yeah.
So usually in that kind of situation, it's someone moves on to bigger and better things.
And maybe he's a good foil for Shinsuke if he can come back as sort of I mean, he has the ability to be likable too, right?
Mhm.
He's not necessarily a natural heel. He's got he is a natural heel, but he's got the ability to be a baby
Dude,
face.
you know what I think they should do is they should play off the real life friendship of Ethan Page and Cody Rhodes. Have him come in as like an ally for Cody. And
Maybe.
then over time, you start to learn more about Ethan Page and how he's not such a great guy. And then, he turns on Cody. It's similar to like MJF and Cody.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if they had that plan for MJF to do that, if he were to sign, then yeah, why
Mm-hmm.
not do it with Ethan Page? I think that's, I think Ethan Page isn't quite MJF to me, but he's
No, but
really good.
he's a flawed human being, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like he's friends with Cody, but you start to see just what a scumbag he is over time. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, this isn't that spectacular, but I think she would just be a great addition, especially, SmackDown on USA. They need a big crossover name. Lola Vice to SmackDown. I think she's someone that you can kind of put in anywhere, whether it be the women's tag division. I mean, you look at the women's US tournament that's happening right now, too. There's just with the mid card championship happening with both names that I mentioned, Roxanne and Lola. I think that creates a lot of opportunity for both of them.
Yeah, I mean, you have the women's IC and the women's US both finishing
Mhm.
up. So, one, whoever goes to SmackDown, the other goes to Raw is good. There's that women's roster on NXT is pretty fucking deep. So,
It's absolutely fire. Absolutely fire. All right. So tomorrow night, we got the return of Saturday night's main event. Uh, cannot believe that we are part of the treat of this whole show is that we're going to have Jesse the Body Ventura back on commentary. Someone's going to have to keep a short leash on him so he doesn't say anything too unhinged. But I think that's going to be
disaster.
no, man. It's going to be fun. I think it's part of the experience is going to be what the fuck is this guy going to say?
So I'm going to be at work for this. I'm going to watch it on delay, probably on Sunday after I get back out of work. So just for the record, don't spoil anything for me tomorrow night.
I will not. But let's just let's make some predictions and let's start with the US Women's Championship tournament that is taking place. The semis are actually taking place tonight on SmackDown. The first match is Michin versus Tiffany Stratton. Second match is Bayley versus Chelsea Green. Dan, who do you got in both of these matches, and who do you think the final is going to be?
I think it's going to be Bayley and Tiffany Stratton.
Okay. And who do you got winning that?
I think it's going to be Bayley.
I think Bayley is a fine first champion for the U.S. Championship.
Strong first champion.
I think so too.
Although my sentimental pick is Michin, personally. I would like to see her win. I just think
my sentimental pick is Chelsea Green because I think she just makes the most of her minutes whenever she's given any opportunity. She is a fucking riot. She is an underrated wrestler too.
Very, very.
I actually watched recently some clips of Chelsea Green when she was in Lucha Underground from like 5 or 6 years ago. I think her name was like Mafiosa or something like that.
Interesting.
Look up her match against Pentagon Jr., bro. Holy fuck.
Is it on YouTube?
if you want to, yeah, if you want to see like the extent of what Chelsea Green is capable of in the ring, she's hiding a lot. Like she can work that work rate style, man.
Are
Um,
you like Candice LeRae style type good?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, man. I think Chelsea's great. But you know, if I was booking this, who I want to win, I do want Chelsea Green to win this whole thing. But I think it's going to be Bailey, and I agree with you that the final is going to be Bailey against Tiffany Stratton.
Yep.
WWE has a tendency to have the Money in the Bank holders take pins and whatnot, so I don't see Tiffany Stratton winning this.
No.
But of course, that final is going to be taking place on Saturday night's main event. Next, we have for the Women's World Championship, Liv Morgan defends against Io Sky. Who do you got, Dan?
I got Liv defending.
I have Liv retaining too. I think it is with help from Raquel. It's not going to be clean. I can't see Liv going clean over Io Sky. I think Io Sky is someone to keep an eye on right now too. Since she's turned babyface, I kind of see this real spark, this fire in her.
Yeah.
You know, she's doing a lot of flips and shit. She's just like catching the eye of the fans.
Looks like she's having a ton of fun.
Yeah, she is. She definitely is. And maybe she's someone that might win the Women's Intercontinental Championship.
Maybe.
You know?
Maybe.
Be a great first champ. Next, we have for the World Heavyweight Championship, Gunther defends against Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Gunther definitely retains here.
Yes.
I think this just leads to a massive blow off with Finn Balor and Damian Priest happening at the Royal Rumble. I want to say, I think it's going to be like a last man standing match. I think it's going to be it for their feud and maybe even the beginning of the end of the Judgment Day.
I hope so. Truly.
Yeah, I do not foresee this going any other way other than Gunther retaining. Grudge match. We have Sami Zayn against Drew McIntyre. I think Drew wins because I don't think Drew loses his return.
I agree.
Yeah. Yep.
Completely.
And finally, for the WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes defends against Kevin Owens in a feud that's just been built up so damn well. I think one of the things I really like about it is that Kevin Owens, even though the way that he's gone about it is kind of deranged, does make points about Cody Rhodes and, you know, him being selfish and, you know, him not remembering that Kevin Owens was the one that like almost lost his life to the bloodline. And here he is, you know, teaming with them. So Kevin certainly has some points. Did you see SmackDown last week with the interview in the car with Kevin Owens and Michael Cole?
I did.
I think even just that approach to a interview is so innovative and cool. I was just kind of marking out. I was marking out over the fact that like it was just so different, you know?
Yeah, no, it was. Not anything I've seen or recall having seen.
Yeah.
In my years of watching wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a good way to shit on Michael Cole.
Yeah, the scene of him telling Michael Cole to come back to the car and he's rolling up the window. Yes. Dude, that made me legit LOL so hard. Yes. Too funny. Kevin Owens has great comedic timing, and really it just shows just how tremendous he is as a player in the WWE. But I think this is going to be a hell of a main event match. Cody retains here. I don't really see. I think that there's more of a chance though of Kevin Owens winning the WWE title than there is for either of the incumbents winning the World Heavyweight Championship. Don't you think, Dan?
And either of the guys winning in the triple threat?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I definitely think KO's got a better shot.
KO's got a better shot than them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's definitely probably going to be match of the night, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
just because of the story that these two guys are able to tell uh, in the ring and through their friendship or lack thereof so far or anymore. So,
Mm. Absolutely, man. So yo, for shits and giggles, just because I'm on the Wikipedia, can I just go over with you what was the card for the last Saturday night's main event?
absolutely. What was it, 93?
No, it actually happened in 2008.
Oh, that's right, because they had the stint that was like 2006,
Yeah,
2008.
yeah. So this was
Hold
the
on, let me guess. Let me guess.
it was a one
Oh,
match card, bro.
it was a one match card in 2008.
Yeah.
It was Orton versus Cena.
All right. So the main event was Edge and Jeff Hardy.
Okay.
Okay. Fine. Okay. Whatever. But the rest of this card is hot garbage. All right.
Okay. Give me it.
Um, Paul London versus Charlie Haas, which is just kind of like nothing against those performers, but like, what are they doing on NBC and on the show? Then we had JBL Kane and the tag team of Legacy, Cody Rhodes and the now incarcerated Ted DiBiase,
All
uh,
right.
facing John Cena, Batista, and Crime Time. That was an 8-man tag match. Trash. And the icing on the cake, if you will, is the Great Khali clashing with Jimmy Wang Yang.
That should have been a WrestleMania card. I don't know who you're kidding. Yeah, and you're giving that for free on
Yeah,
network television?
I just feel like I'm looking at this right now and I'm like, damn, no wonder NBC did not want Saturday Night's main event back for another 16 years. That is absolute fuck. Like, damn, like that whole period, 2008 through 2019, even, like, they were just not trying at all.
No. No, they were the only fucking show in town. Nobody cared. Everybody was like, all right, I guess we'll just watch it if we want to watch wrestling
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
were the only accessible show out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you got to root for AEW and not against them.
Yeah,
True
yeah. Oh,
alternative.
yeah. I'm definitely rooting for AEW success, but I mean, just the way that WWE is now, with the years and years and years of suffering that we've had to go through, God,
Yeah,
it's just such a sense of relief, is it not?
it's nice. It's nice to
Yeah,
have two shows that I'll actually watch.
it's
Well,
nice to have to be at a point with
two
WWE
companies.
where, like, if you're showing the show to somebody that doesn't watch wrestling or doesn't watch it anymore, there's not going to be those moments where you're like, it's not always like this. I know that was stupid, but it's not always like this. Like, it
I still
actually
get them
feels cool now.
Yeah, I mean, it feels cooler. It's still
Yeah,
not cool. Let's
it's
be
not
honest with each
fucking.
other.
But the thing is like it doesn't feel fucking corny like it used to.
Correct. Correct. It does not feel like it's aimed at kids as
Mm-hmm.
hard. Um, so, but
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All
it's nice
right,
to have that alternative in WWE. It's really nice.
big time, man. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan. And we're really thankful for everyone that decided to listen this week. As always, follow us on Instagram at Smarknado, on Twitter at Smarknado1. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And of course, go check out our link tree. All our links are there, our What a Maneuver store, our YouTube, everything else. Dan?
I got nothing, man. Just
Put up the ones.
oh, all right, I'll do that.
I
I'm really
see
just
you're
pointing
already
out all of our.
doing it, so I'll put up the one too.
I'm just pointing out all of our shit over here and buying time until I can say, "Stay fresh, cheese bags."
I acknowledge you, cheese bags. Keep watching wrestling.